My name is Steve. I used to play music for a living, but I got sick of wearing skinny jeans and living in a van. Now I live in a skate shop and I bring people on adventures all over the world. At 34 years old, I've sailed, rode motorcycles, and skated all over the world. I grew up going to the Boundary Waters with my dad. He would tie a canoe on top of the family van, grab me and my three brothers, and we'd be off to explore the wilderness. I often wondered why my dad would take so much time and energy to drag us up north when we didn't even appreciate it. Some years, it rained the entire week. Those adventures were challenging, but looking back, I see how these trips and the unconditional love for my father shaped who I am. I have a buddy named Joe Baker, and he's a little bit nuts. We share a love for the unknown, the dangerous and risky places in the world. Joe and I are a lot alike. He's just a few years ahead of me. He married a skydiver from South Dakota and now has 3 wild boys. I've always been intrigued by the way Joe fathers them. I see similarities in him and my dad in the way he gives his boys freedom to explore and pushes them to do hard, scary, and big things. A while back, Joe called me up and asked if I wanted to climb a Grade 5 peak with him and his 5-year-old. I bought a plane ticket before we even hung up. I could feel in my heart that this trip was not going to be like any other, so I packed a bag and headed west. We left on our journey on a Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. Similar to my own childhood, leaving for the Boundary Waters early in the morning, Anne was up and making sure we had everything we needed to spend a week in the backcountry. She kissed Joe and spent a little extra time saying goodbye to Sammy, telling him she loved him and how proud of him she was. Joe invited his best friend Luke and his daughter Gemma, who had high expectations of being challenged on this trip. As we embarked on our 10-hour drive to reach trailhead that led to Cirque of the Towers, I thought about how special it is to have a family for whom you can architect a story. Joe and Anne had fallen in love 15 years ago while climbing Pingora. Joe lives with a unique kind of intentionality, as if he has an epic story in mind while he is living it. He's always dreaming up new ways he can pull people in and involve them in the story he is creating.
Dude, I am so excited to be here with Sam in the Wind Rivers for the first time. This is my dream to bring my boys here, and so this is it. Me and my little guy, we drove in, we're hanging out the window of the car looking at the mountains, and now we're gonna hike to Big Sandy Lake and maybe do a little fishing and get on into the cirque and go climbing. I can't wait.
And that's where it dawned on me. Joe was doing something way bigger than anyone could see. Joe wasn't trying to push his son to be a rock climber, he was giving Sammy an identity. And that identity showed him what he was capable of. Someday, he could literally do anything. Because of this time with his dad, he would know who he is, just like I do, thanks to my dad. The night before the climb, I was struck with a strong sense that what mattered most was the moments that got us there. The 11-mile hike into the cirque, hanging the food so bears didn't get it, and constantly fighting off black clouds of blood-sucking mosquitoes. It was all a part of the journey.
Back. We're gonna lay down just like me. Got my hand here.
We're going to climb a big mountain today.
Yeah. I'm going to cry the whole way.
You are?
Yeah.
You think so? And so I'm sure he's the youngest person to have ever done it if we do it.
So this is something that we'll never forget. I know it. I'm sure of it. Yeah, it's going to be scary.
Something that was continually highlighted to me throughout this trip was the moments that Joe was composing for Sam. To become more confident, to become less selfish, to be more aware. The whole trip wasn't just about him and Sam. It was about all of us speaking into Sam's life. We all had a role in the story. We're about to be.
Top of the world, Sammy. You earned it. Keep going. All right, put your hands up, buddy.
Summit! Woo!
Pingora! Woo! Yahoo! Pingora! Yeah! Doing it! Yeah!
We're freaking doing it, Joe!
At Pingora, the 5-year-old. This is what we've just climbed together. We've been working on this for a whole year, training Sam and Gemma and Luke to be able to climb Pingora. We did it! We made it! Woo! It's Sam!
I never thought about it until I got older. But these trips my dad would take me on were about more than just camping, capsizing canoes, and cooking in the woods. My dad was doing the same thing for me that Joe was doing for Sammy. He was creating a space and giving me the chance to discover the things about myself that I wouldn't know any other way.
This has been one of my favorite days with you, buddy. And I know how hard it was. There were times when you were crying. We did it together. You did the whole thing. And then rappelled all the way down. And you're not 20. You're 5.